In the distant past, Sabretooth is attacking a man. Though he begs for his life, Victor is not one for mercy. Wolverine tells him to stop, and that there is a better way through the X-Men that can bring out the good in his old enemy. But Sabretooth says there isn't any good in him and kills the man. In the present, Steve Rogers' allies have gone mad. Old and without the super soldier serum, Rogers is no match for the new Captain America. But Sam Wilson realizes too late he is fighting an illusion, and that the real Steve Rogers and the now White Skull are escaping through the sewers. The Skull is devastated by his actions, and is so sorry for all he has done. But he thinks he can fix this. Outside, the Avengers prepare to round up their prisoners for their executions. But Wilson says that the Skull is escaping and planning on reverting them all, so the Avengers move to intercept him. Meanwhile, Havoc attempts to rescue his wife, but she refuses to forgive Havoc, and after discovering that he wasn't the one who deactivated the bomb, runs away from him. Apocalypse, meanwhile, lays on his knees, devastated at his loss and mournful at the potential future he was going to make for the X-Men. But Deadpool's head is somehow able to speak, and says that Evan was raised by good people. Deep down inside of Apocalypse, that good person is still in there. On the moon, Loki flees from his rampaging brother. Thor is furious and eager for revenge. Loki comes across Mjolnir, still on the moon at this time. Loki prays that the inversion spell has truly changed him, and when Thor finds Loki, he is surprised to find that his brother has indeed become worthy. Back at the Avengers Mansion, Steve and the White Skull have escaped. Rogers is badly injured, but the White Skull has memories of the man he once was, and knows what kind of opponent Steve is. A man who always stands up. As they begin to plan for casting another inversion spell, the Avengers arrive. They begin a vicious attack on the few remaining heroes until Apocalypse arrives to save the day. As he holds the Avengers off, Steve and the others make it to the roof. They are almost stopped by Luke Cage, but Sabretooth and Spider-Man hold him back as the plane takes off. They nearly escape until Iron Man tears the Quinjet apart. He nearly has them, swearing he will swarm the world with his Stark Sentinels after what Apocalypse has done. However, Dr. Doom and the others arrive. They take Iron Man down and prepare for another inversion spell. Though the villains are sad to become the terrible people they once were, they are willing to make the sacrifice for the greater good. As they begin to cast the spell, Iron Man and Havoc refuse to accept going back to normal and fight back, but are successfully held off. But Iron Man was ready for this, and manages to shield himself and those around him from the spell's effect. On the moon, Loki drops the hammer. The spell has worked. Back at the mansion, everyone recovers and gets their bearings. Sabretooth, Iron Man, and Havoc are the only ones who have not been restored to normal. Havoc manages to capture Janet and flees, while Stark, Doom, and the Red Skull have all disappeared. In the aftermath of the events of Axis, the world reels from near disaster. The people would have blamed the mutants and the Avengers for all of this. Before they were returned to normal, the villains prepared a tape of themselves taking responsibility for everything, serving as a source of blame in order to maintain the reputation of the X-Men and the Avengers. Ian and Sam are shocked at this, but Steve says this was their idea, as they knew what true sacrifice means. Meanwhile, the rest of the hero community has been shifted. Sabretooth has accepted imprisonment as punishment for his actions over the many years. Permanently inverted, he prepares for the long and difficult road towards redemption. But he is sure he can do this, and plans to show his old enemy that he too can find the spirit of a Wolverine. Iron Man and Havoc are also permanently inverted. Iron Man prepares for his new role in life, while Havoc reunites with his brother and the rogue X-Men. Meanwhile, Deadpool and Evan go on the run. Loki goes on to brag about his escapades with his friend, and Dr. Doom watches over his new prisoner. The Avengers Unity Squad is reformed, with Brother Voodoo and Quicksilver joining the team, and the Scarlet Witch and Rogue more sure of their place here than ever before. While Peter Parker sets about the difficult task of making a giant Carnage statue in the middle of Times Square. Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden, and this is my recap and review of Avengers and X-Men, Axis number 9. And here we are at the end of Axis, and it was one heck of a ride. I found issue 9 to be on par with the rest of the Axis comics. The art is once again kinda hit or miss, but the comic makes up for it with some great action and excellent character moments. To me, there was enough going on in issue 9 that on the whole I enjoyed it and recommend this comic. Yes, the ending wasn't very surprising, as a whole lot of stuff went back to normal pretty quick here. Still, I feel like this event has meaningfully shifted the Marvel community up a bit, and I'm pretty excited to see some of these changes. I like the new Unity Squad members, and I also enjoy the idea of a new Sabretooth, who, based on this story, might end up becoming a sort of new Wolverine. That would certainly be unexpected, but I would kinda like to see what happens in this character next. So now let's talk about the Axis series as a whole. I overall enjoyed this crossover. It felt big and epic, but it was also a lot of fun. I liked that this crossover had a couple of good twists in it, and I really enjoyed that this story was very different from what we were told it was going to be. I was pretty impressed by Axis on the whole, and do recommend this series. Last review I asked people to share what they didn't like about Axis, and I got a lot of actually really helpful comments and explanations, so thanks for that. By far the biggest, in my opinion, the best complaint that people gave me was the idea that Axis was not being what was promised. What I mentioned earlier that I really enjoyed might not be enjoyed by other people as much. It's good from a storytelling perspective because it means that the needs of the story trump the needs of marketing, but that does mean that some people are going to get upset for the misdirection. The same problem happened with Bioshock Infinite and other media where there are big, unexpected twists that are left out of advertising for the sake of the surprise. For some like me, the twist works, and it's unexpected and also a lot of fun. But for others who wanted a big fight with the Red Skull, it can be a bit of a crushing disappointment. There are, of course, other issues with having brand new heroes that are only just turned into villains right away, and other stuff, but I think it was on the whole quite enjoyable, and we have most of them back to normal now, so I liked Axis. Oh well, for all its problems, I certainly enjoyed reviewing Axis, and I hope you liked my reviews of this big event. For a complete reading order of my Axis coverage, please be sure to check out our website in the video description below. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.